listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Pennies, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redline and lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win, you need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Welcome to Reset Race, where we talk about race, and especially as it pertains to race and politics in the United States of America and how it impacts people who descend from slaves here in the country. So, with that said, I think I said I was Michael Graham from Active Press. All right, in any event, I'm going to introduce you to the team, or they're going to introduce themselves, and we're going to start from the top. Ladies first, of course. That's how we get down. And Sam, talk to the people.
Yeah, I know, it's so weird, right? All right, so I'm Samantha Angelique. You can sometimes find me on Twitter at me17trillion, but I've been taking a break from you people. But I will probably be back at some point, but I'm about to go on vacation, so I'm really not going to be bothered. But hey, I'm looking forward to tonight and see what this BS will be, and let's have some fun. You know, I'm in for a good roast.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Oh, and I'm back on Twitter for another 5 minutes. It's ActifyMG_RR, as in Romeo. All right. Big John, talk to him.
Yeah, I am here. This is John C. You know what I mean? The average American Negro that descends from chattel slavery. Yes, I do. Okay, if you don't like it or not. But yeah, follow me on Twitter if you want to. I'm at John Danny OC, back with the fam. Let's get into it. Make it short and sweet. Let's just do it. Fuck it.
Mud, go ahead and talk to him, man.
All right, they call me Mud. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, all at Of Lineage. Bit of Those TV is back, so just stay tuned in. All right, let's get to it.
Yeah, I want Clubhouse too. Same one, ActifyMG_RR. I want Clubhouse too. I am somebody now. For a few minutes. All right, so
Lord, Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Go ahead, introduce.
It's horrible. I'm hated already. Damn. Yeah. Okay. So this is Destiny. He's a YouTube dude. I'm not familiar with Destiny. He's hosting a debate on cash reparations, and it's gonna be pretty interesting. So let's get started without further ado. All right, Sam, let's get rolling. Shit.
So if you obviously can't tell, today's topic is cash reparations for African Americans. So basically the debate is should the U.S. federal government or state governments in some capacity recompense African Americans for whatever reasons will be discussed here, or is this not something that the government should do for whatever reasons, which will be discussed here. For this topic, I explicitly sought out to Black people to talk about it because it feels a little bit weird to have men debating abortion white people debating reparations, or so I thought it would be a little bit more. I don't know if I would say tasteful. That sounds a little bit strange, but like a little bit more appropriate maybe to have two people discussing this topic that are actually like intimately affected by it. Because for me personally, and as most of the votes have come in, I will reveal that for me personally, I am almost undecided on this. I lean very, very, very slightly in favor of it based on what I've heard so far, but my position on that could be very easily moved in one way or another. As an introduction to this and to make sure that we understand what's going on, the way that this show works is basically I bring on two people to have a discussion/argument relating to a certain topic. I'm only here to do moderation. And when I say moderation, what I mean is that if I feel like the two people have exhausted a topic or aren't responding to or hitting each other's points well, I'll just kind of step in and say, I think he's trying to say this, we should respond to that, or we should move on from that. If people scream or shout at each other, I'm not really here to intervene there. I'm just trying to make sure that the argument stays on like a good course and that we're responding to each other's points well. We have at the bottom left our wonderful friend Trihex here, okay? Super Smash Brothers player, Mario Maker player, and all-around cool dude. And then on the right, we have one of our wonderful participants from the Georgia Canvassing Stuff, our politics/philosophy streamer/rage debater on Twitch, Irrelevant. So you two are going to take it away. I think that for this, we'll probably start, I guess, lightly with the affirmative. Trags can state why he thinks it would be important to have cash reparations, and then Irrelevant, you can respond, and then we'll just kind of like follow the conversation like that, and I'll make sure the two of you guys kind of stay on point. Go for it.
Good.
Hey. All right. Well, first, I appreciate being introduced as a masturbator. I don't know if that was really the ultimate criteria that I qualify to be introduced as, Destiny, but regardless, though, I guess we can move on from there.
Sure, go for
it. So you want to go ahead and start in here with whether or not we support or oppose?
Yeah, so just for Triax, you think that cash reparations ought to be paid to the descendants of slaves in the United States. Why? What's like your first point for that, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So the first point for that is just, I guess we can go over here, just the acknowledgement that we need to do a course correction on all of the historical wrongs and oppression that's been inflicted upon Black people in the United States here for several centuries. Something needs to be done about it here, and the everlasting effects that have been like inflicted and endured by Black people are shown with the grotesque wealth inequality, socioeconomic factors that lead to disadvantages for many Black people all around here. Whether you look at discrimination, criminal justice enforcement, employment opportunities, and just open discrimination. So yeah, there's a lot we can look into to start to acknowledge that being the reality of what it is, and how reparations can be the start of the healing process from that point. Okay. I can go further here if you need me to, but I figure I want to like.
I think that's pretty good for me personally to be able to jump off of. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. However, the point of disagreement is probably that I don't think that direct cash reparations actually helps almost any of what you said there, almost at all. I would find that what would probably help significantly more would be investing in Black businesses or investing inside of Black schools, specifically like instead of direct cash in hand, it would be more of infrastructure or the environment around Black people's, like the climate that Black people live in. One of the reasons why I would cite the necessity for a more systemic or environmental all-around fix rather than direct cash reparations would be like citing rich Black people and how they still face systemic discrimination and things like that. So even if we were to, let's say, give
Can we
Black
stop
people
him?
each $1 million,
Somebody stop this.
it would make their lives.
Nobody gonna say nothing about this. Everybody quiet. Somebody gonna stop this shit?
John,
Like,
I would actually like for you to lead us off. Go, sir.
what the fuck? I mean, let no lead. Like,
My
yo,
bad, John. My bad.
nobody is stopping this. Like, yo, this pain. Like, he was like, yo, I believe in investments now. We already broke these arguments down. Wow, that shit doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, feel like we need to invest in Black institutions. Our institutions are weak. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really have no Black institutions because, you know what I mean, the majority of us don't have no fucking money. You know what I mean? So, like,
NAACP is gonna save us.
yeah, like we need to give more money to NAACP. HBCUs, black school system, and build infrastructure that everybody benefits from. And this is how this, you know what I mean, this is going to fix us.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, this is where we were 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, and you know, I'm a firm believer that a lot of people need grace, but I don't think it's hard to find people anymore that understand this a little bit deeper, especially after Dr. Darity's book is published. So I think you could find people. Maybe I guess he's maybe looking for gamers because that's who's in his space. That may be what it is. But this is weird. All right, Sam, what you got?
What I mainly have is just most of these arguments, like we said, are kind of old. Like, I don't really have a problem with dude because he's saying what most black people say. Well, not most black people, but like black people who haven't read anything and don't know anything. But like we already said, if you read What We Get Wrong About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, you see that like investing in like education or giving people home loans or like none of that stuff is going to close the racial wealth gap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once you're educated on that, then you have to start figuring out like what does. And then you're like, oh, cash. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of it.
I've often said, you know, how do you close a wealth gap that's supposed to be that's a gap of money. The only way to close that is with money. You know what I mean? It's like,
excuse me, white people. From now on, I am taking your inheritance and I'm going to pay you with free college. and I'm going to fix that elementary school for your baby. Oh, you don't have kids? Oh, well, sorry. Neighborhood. So it's good for your property value.
That's wild, Sam. That is completely unfair, Sam.
No, it's not. That's what they tell us.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
What they tell us.
But that jab, that hurt my ribs.
Yeah, that's it hurt me too. I'm like, damn, God damn. You pay property taxes no more, Sam?
I guess we've been on a break. Hey, we went on a break. Sam came out swinging. God damn. All right. Thank you, Sam. Bud, talk to him, man. Talk to him.
Shit, I don't even know how to follow that shit.
Yeah,
like she said it all. Like, God damn. I mean, the only other part I would break down is like this idea that it's going to like correct systematic racism going forward. Like he kind of ended on that note, and it's like, nah, we're talking about fixing the harms that have already been done and having protections, and then moving forward, we're still going to have to deal with racism. Like it may not fix that part, but we're trying to get to a point where, you know, we're not still in a hole. Like we have resources to actually fight that fight. So, you know, that's basically it.
All right, appreciate it, Mud. I guess we got to continue with this painful thing. Sorry, John. Let's go, Sam.
Black people each $1 million a piece, it would make their lives substantially better, but it still wouldn't solve a lot of the problems that might cause, for instance, their children or what have you to be able to incur a lot of economic or societal stress.
But if we're going to agree about the severity of how bad it currently is for the most oppressed, I was going to say one of the most oppressed classifications of citizenship in USA as African Americans, then I'd say time is all the essence here. And I'm not entirely opposed to, in a similar parallel to the pandemic right now, getting that relief as immediately as possible. You know, right. even taking, because for example, I'm sorry, forgive me, let me just do one more thing here. For example, here, if we entertain strictly community investment, and we're talking about like, I don't know, logistical oversight and what could be 1 to 4 years before we see tangible implementation in certain areas, that is one high school student's entire high school curriculum, where they weren't even able to do that. And just having the additional money to be able to kind of like make things happen, I think we can make a pretty big modern modern application into the parallels of COVID right now.
Because I don't want to start off by sounding like I'm gonna be like fuck the kids. So that's not what I'm saying. but what I'm saying is, how about no. So I'm just saying.
You need Jesus.
No. I just don't want people to take it that way. I said I don't want people to take it that way. But what I am saying is, how about you make an investment in schools, because this is America and we're supposed to be the richest country in the world and we want our citizens to be competitive globally.
Exactly.
Don't give that to me because I'm Black. Give that to me because I'm American. Pay me my reparations cash, because that's a debt that you owe me. But don't fix up the Black schools so the white people gentrify my neighborhood and push me the fuck out of it. Because that school gonna still be there and they ass gonna be living there. And you're not gonna do another program for where they move me to.
Right.
God damn.
Am I lying?
No, not at
all.
No.
Man, that's what we get for taking a break. Damn, we get punched in the mouth every time Sam over the mouth.
I'm saying.
All right, Sam, let's ride. I'm sorry, Mud, you got something?
Nah, go ahead. She said it.
John, anything, John?
You good, John?
Good. Nothing from
Stop
me.
picking on us, Sam. We trying to keep up, damn it.
No, not at all. Hey, John can reiterate like how John be talking about. Just because it's free don't mean it's good.
Oh yeah.
Facts.
Word up. That's what I'm saying. That's why free college is bullshit. Because I mean, like as of now, because it's like you still got to get into them schools. Like you still got to be ready to go to college. Like, and the majority of our schools don't prepare our kids to go to fucking school. You know what I mean? Like, period. So you still got to get into school, even if it's free. You still got to get into school. There's still racist ass systems that not gonna allow you to get in these fucking schools. Like, the fuck are you talking? Like, I don't understand like I understand. Like, I know that the Black people that did go to school, they deserve to get shit, whatever like that. But man, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like nah, man. You still got to get into them schools. You still have to motherfucking be able to sustain yourself while you in school, like Sam always talk about. It's still all types of facts to this shit. So you just because you erase maybe the 20% of the people that did go to school in our community, they still in debt. That don't like. I mean, it would help, yeah, but it's not. It's putting the band-aid on our problem. It's bullshit. So that's how I feel about that.
These are facts, John. These are facts.
All day. All right, I'm gonna get it going.
Getting more COVID relief 9 months ago. If it were even if it's like a monthly UBI implementation, just to like get the relief we need to people as quickly as possible, because we understood the severity of COVID at that time, but this disruption to the economy and everything else here would have made probably a lot of difference for a lot of people involved, and probably resulted in definitively less death. And the same way here, getting that immediate monetary relief to Black people, if we're admitting here the level of oppression is currently going on in this country for them, would also lead to definitively less suffering, possibly.
Okay, I don't disagree with anything that you just said for the most part at all. I only have a few questions to be able to springboard off of that. What if, let's entertain an idea wherein which Black people were not ever like slaves or even systemically oppressed? Would you still advocate for, but they had the similar economic conditions to what they have right now?
Because I'm an asshole. Shut up. We are not doing whataboutisms. We are not doing whataboutisms. And the answer is no. The answer is no.
I'm the asshole for this show, damn it.
No, I'm just saying. The answer is no, bruh. Now, should we do something because people are Americans and this is the richest country in the world? And should we fix the floor for everybody? Yes. But that has nothing to do with Black Americans who descend from United States chattel slavery reparations. Period.
Would you still advocate for similar policy to what you just described for that group of people?
Would I advocate for African Americans to get reparations if they were not in the poverty state they're currently in right now?
Well, technically, It wouldn't necessarily be reparations, but would you still, advocate for similar economic policy to what you're describing if they had not gone through any kind of like systemic racism or anything like that?
So a relevance question is basically, let's say that there was a group of...
If I'm interpreting this correctly here...
Wait, I'm sorry, real quick. What a relevance question is that he's saying is that if there was some minority group in the United States that currently had the same like socioeconomic status as African Americans, would you be giving the exact same prescription for them as you are now for African Americans? Is there a difference? Like, does African Americans' history in the United States of slavery like have any special bearing here? Is essentially the question.
Right. So that's what I'm getting right there with that one. So the thing there is we have to agree here that the oppression African Americans feel in this country does stem ultimately from the byproducts of slavery being enforced. Slavery,
Sure.
3/5 human clause, electoral college enforcement, paywalls, being able to vote, paywalls to be able to have legal protections that the white folks had comparatively as well, and all the civil rights movements, the suffrage, the discrimination, and the cultural reinforced bigotry, and I would argue the non-normalization of Black success here. I think all of that stems from slavery, and therefore it's that is intrinsic to justifying reparations and the cash relief for Black people. If other minorities are in a similar boat, like on a socioeconomic factor, and they didn't go through that, it contextually requires for me to say, is it directly related to American policy? Because that's the whole thing. Like, United States had slavery for 80 something years before it was amended.
Let's assume that it wasn't due to directly American policy, that they were just economically destitute for not, I don't know what reason I could give that isn't necessarily economic.
Maybe. Thank you. Somebody stop this. Stop the pain.
Save me, Sam.
Yo,
Save
Sam,
me.
somebody stop the pain. MG, Mud, I know you hear the pain. I feel the pain. Stop it.
He is missing the entire fucking point. Right? The point is American policy fucked us over more than anybody else, save perhaps maybe the Native Americans. And based on their numbers and our numbers, I know they're kind of skewed by all kinds of horrible shit. There is no comparison. Absolutely no comparison. Not to say those fights are lesser, not to say those fights are less important, not to say those fights are not important to have. Right? But there is no comparison to any other group outside of Native Americans, to any other group, not even close.
I wouldn't even make the comparison of the natives, because there's been attempts to try to work this shit out along the way. If the treaties made, some have not been honored, but some have, and money's been paid out. A lot of shit has been done to try to correct shit. As far as with the natives, we have not been given that grace.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's wild to me that people. Never mind. We're trying to give these folks grace because they haven't been steeped in this stuff like we have. Probably neither one of them have ever heard of Dr. Sandy Darity, and we're gonna just keep pushing and give them a little room to breathe. At least we're gonna try.
We're gonna let you live.
Yeah, for now.
We're gonna let you live, but
seek you out later.
But I don't like the whataboutisms, right? So reparations is a debt that is owed. Wealth redistribution is some shit that should happen because we're Americans, and we shouldn't have 40 million Americans who are out of work right now. We shouldn't have the level of homelessness that we have. We shouldn't have 80% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. So that's why wealth redistribution should happen, because we're Americans and we live in the richest country in the world. But reparations is a debt that is owed, and that's why it should be paid cash. Like all this fixing the neighborhood. And well, what happens if I'm one of the few Black people who managed to muster up enough? I'm still poor. I just happen to move into a decent ass neighborhood. I still live paycheck to paycheck. If I lose my job, I can lose everything. But I just managed to get my kids into a somewhat decent neighborhood. My kids don't get shit because I happen to scrape enough, and we still one paycheck away from losing everything. Nah, that's not how any of this works, because that's not how you do any other group. So quit trying to play us. Go ahead and run me my money. I like that idea. White people keep telling me well, they could just do a tax credit and they could do $80,000 a year for 10 years. I like that idea. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Thank you.
Me either.
So we could have some conversations about how to do it, but that's a real easy way to do it without y'all being in y'all feelings. Y'all won't even notice.
These are facts. They would notice because Black people may be in their neighborhood. They can't have that. But
the thing about it is, will we? Sorry, MG. I'm sorry because I hate to cut you off. But will we? This is the thing, right? If you give 36 million Black people $80,000 a year, don't you think some of them are going to want to go and build their own communities? They might
Of
want to go
course.
live together. Like, contrary
Sam.
to popular belief, white people, you know, sometimes living with y'all is stressful because y'all don't really necessarily want us around. And we
Sam,
feel that shit.
Sam, I'm gonna demand right now that you cut that common sense shit out.
Ooh.
All right? Quit being smart and logical and shit. Cut that
Tell the
shit
truth
out.
and shame the devil. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like we're going to be like trying to overrun your neighborhoods and come and live with y'all. A lot of us a lot of people who actually have a little bit of something left in the hood are probably going to try to fix the hood. Like, they're going to fix up their houses. They're going to do some, you know, because that if the bank know you get a guaranteed $80,000 a year, they might give you a construction loan on your house so you can get some work done. Like, there's just other shit that opens up to you when you have access to capital.
Yep,
which y'all
absolutely.
know, because y'all got it.
See, but Sam,
I used to watch those fixer-up shows. Y'all used to make me sick. I couldn't even watch TV.
We are talking
Yeah, I
about race
swear
in
that shit
America.
is
You
annoying.
cannot apply logic. You cannot apply fairness. None of that stuff. You need to cut that shit out, Sam, or John's going to replace you on the show.
Hey, Sam, get this shit too real. Hey, but at the end of the day, though, but
That was
fucking
on one.
on for real. Like, this is bullshit. Like, I mean, like, this dude, I don't like to answer this dude question this shit. This dude asked the question like, yo, what if slavery and nothing like that ever happened and you were still in the same social economic position? Would you ask for nigga? No, because no, I would ask for wealth redistribution because the reason why we at the bottom is because of slavery and Jim Crow and all the shit that you said never happened. You feel me? Or did happen. I'd be like, no. So if I'm like, real says no, because the thing about it is like, I mean, when you do that, like, I mean, what he's talking about is he's trying to really, this is what aboutism. He's like, I'm not denying nothing that happened to y'all. I'm not denying that. I agree. But what if it didn't happen? But nigga, we wouldn't be here fighting you, motherfucker. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, none of this shit happened. We'd be asking, nigga, of course we wouldn't be asking for reparations, but it happened to us. That's why we need repair.
Absolutely.
So I guess we can finish playing the last of this clip.
I don't know what reason I could give that isn't necessarily economic. Maybe they just, I have no idea what I could possibly give. Perhaps discrimination from other groups online could put them inside of a depressive state. Maybe social pressure or social discrimination, not so much as a result of the government, but more as a result of the populace that
So feelings, okay.
fill the government. And they were economically destitute as a result.
I do support reparations or the cash injections for Black people because I can easily link that back to being they are where they are right now due to the byproducts that have resulted from slavery and after slavery, civil rights movements, etc. For other groups, comparatively, reparations specifically, if they didn't go through like an American specific reinforcement of oppression, no. But I do support systems that would help them get out of that similar socioeconomic factor. I don't think any individual minority or group should be at the level of poverty we're currently seeing experienced by like the bottom, whatever, half of the country, much less the bottom 10% of the country on an income level.
Okay. Then what kind of special, so let's assume you have a Black person and another minority, this minority that we previously talked about that was not systemically discriminated against. What special advantages or perks would you give the Black person as a result of your reparations argument or your direct cash more specifically, because that's the point of contention? The direct cash benefits would you give the Black person that you wouldn't give the other minority individual?
Just kind of a curious.
I can detail that further if you'd like to, but
kind of curious for this conversation. So I think something else that Irrelevant is getting at. So let's say that Black people in the United States, or more specifically African Americans in the United States, were like occupying the same strata, the same economic areas as white people. Let's say that there was a similar percentage of African American and white people in poverty, in middle class, and upper class.
God, I'm waiting for Brandy to jump out and start just singing "What About." Like, because it's all I hear is "What About" this whole argument. So we were talking about cash reparations for African Americans, but what we're really talking about is a fantasy world where Black and white people have the same amount of money, and we would figure out how to fix Mexicans. I get it. And I say Mexicans because I live in Los Angeles, and that's who's around me the most when it comes to minorities. Don't give me no shit. And those are probably the ones I fuck with the most. Them and El Salvadorians. Yeah. All right. So yeah, but this is all whataboutisms. Like I would, you know what? To be honest, I might have would have rather have had the conversation with white people. It might have been more entertaining.
I'm saying.
You know, but okay. All right, let's finish the last few seconds, I guess.
Class. Let's say that it was more or less the exact same. If that was the case, would you support reparations for African Americans, or would you be opposed to it at that point?
Hey, yo, come on, y'all know what come on, man. What the fuck is like? What is he doing? Like, what is he doing? Like, yo, they basically are trying to make up a fantasy world where it was like, yo, real shit. Slavery never happened. Jim Crow never happened. Redline never happened. Lynching never happened. Mass incarceration never happened. This never happened. And they say that never happened. Would you be asking for repair? You feel me? Like, no, because that never. We asking for repair because of that. Like, what the fuck? What? Like, these are fucking intellectuals. This shit is fucking. Come on, man. Y'all see this shit?
The thing is that I expected from a white person to say that shit, but when you're looking at a black person saying this shit, it's just like, what the fuck? And then the fact that he's trying to be intellectual about it, like, yeah, like matter of fact, like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, like, how did you end up like this? That's what I want to know. I don't even want to ask about reparations at that point. How did you end up like this? That's the question I want to answer.
Yeah, you got something since the fuck.
Not that's relevant. not that's relative. Only stuff I have to say is very irrelevant. So I'm gonna eat that one, especially looking at our relevant. I'm wondering, I'm like, who your mama? Who your daddy? Who you? Who your grandparents? Where you from?
He did just say that they're black. He never really went into whether or not they're descendants of American chattel slavery.
Exactly. And you know, black includes biracials, and don't at me because you know, I call you how you identify. So, you know, I got biracials in my life who identify as black, and I got biracials in my life who identify as biracials. So you are as you identify, but depending on where you grew up and who raised you, you may have different views. So are you a Jordan Peele?
Where are we? Just be patient and I'll show you.
And Destiny the Moderator. This is crazy to me.
Like. We need to do that little 2-minute clip of when that black dude said reparations to Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott was like, Native Americans!
Then first you have to pay off the Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they got paid. They got paid.
We'll have
and they have land.
Really?
The natives should get it first. They enslaved us though, but they lived here though, but they still enslaved us. No, I'm like, damn, Elliot.
We got to just get over this color of the skin thing. We should all just love each other, and you niggas still be broke. Oh my God, that's a hustle. Ooh, I'll never look at Jane Elliott the same. Not saying that takes away from her contribution and her work that she's done, but let me tell you, like we keep saying, you want to see who's really for black people, start talking about reparations. Some of your favorite so-called anti-racists, when you start talking about reparations, them Klan hoods start dancing like Fantasia. Like just climbing up the back of y'all necks. I'm just saying. So y'all got to work on that. Why do y'all hate the idea of Negroes getting money so much? Like, why does it hurt your soul? Like, I've never been that angry about white people getting money before in my life. Jesus. Like, y'all giving white people, like, reparations for opioids after you gave my uncle jail for, like, 30-something years. Like, I'm irritated, but I'm not, like, mad, like, where I'm going on TV talking about why white people shouldn't get reparations for opioids. Like, I'm just saying. All right. Anything else?
No, let's go.
So if you agree with the idea that the economic or material conditions of, let's say, black people as a whole isn't necessarily prerequisite, even if they have exorbitant amounts of wealth, I would just ask, is there anything in all of reality that could be done to be able to make you say that reparations is not owed to black people? Or is it just that simply by the fact that our ancestors went through, and depending on what we're talking about as well, even our grandparents with like Jim Crow and things like that, and possibly even our parents with some redlining situations, are by by the result of that given action that we are owed reparations intrinsically by nature? Is that what is the argument exactly?
I'm sorry, just to recap here. You're asking me under what situation would I oppose cash reparations? Or are you asking me the minimum requirement?
More specifically, I'm trying to ascertain whether or not you believe that under any circumstance, reparations are owed. It doesn't matter the material conditions or societal conditions of black people. Reparations will always be owed because of past events.
Yes, fool. Even if every black person right now is as rich as Oprah, they would still be owed reparations.
Exactly.
Because reparations is a debt that is owed. That's it. Yes. Oprah's ass deserves reparations with all her fucking money and houses and bags and shit. Yep.
Hey,
Tyler
Sam,
Perry ass too. Who
Sam,
else? That black
dude.
dude, the black dude that paid off all them Howard graduates college loans with the little young white wife. Yep, he deserves reparations too. His white wife wants that money too, even though he's worth billions. She gonna spend that on some shit too. So yep, yep, all of it.
Every time I think about this, or every time I hear this argument, I'm like, why are you in the middle of a debate or even talking about reparations if you really don't understand the definition? Like, it's very clear. It's not like they keep acting like it's some type of poverty program when it's like, no, we bring up the poverty so you understand how dire our situation is because you haven't paid this fucking debt. So it's about the fucking debt. It's about the harm that has been done, the harm that needs to be corrected. So like you can't argue this way and then think you're going to find some way out of paying that debt. Like that, it doesn't work.
Oh, wait, these people. I think we're being nice today. I feel like we've been very kind.
I don't know.
All right.
You said you was evil, but
I thought I've been nice. I was very nice.
That's the crazy part.
You started off with what? Fuck the kids, or did you say that?
No, I said I'm not going to say fuck the kids.
You thought about
God
it. We all know you meant fuck the kids. You were like, fuck the white babies. I don't give a damn.
I said I wasn't gonna say fuck the kids.
All right.
But damn. I swear. Y'all just can't get a break around this moment. All right, let's see what else they gotta say, because we still got
to me that's just like a load of BS there. So if you're looking for me to like give you the minimum spec that where slavery can occur, but people are well off enough to not deserve having reparations considered here, I'm not sure I can entertain that really.
So just to clarify Irrelevant's position, because I'm trying to understand, because I understand you're asking Trax a bunch of questions to get his position out. Irrelevant, do you think it's possible that a certain group of people could be promised something, but then that group of people could be so successful that in spite of whatever they suffered due to the breaking of that promise, that at some point they would no longer be owed that promise? Do you think that's possible?
Potentially, absolutely, yeah. Because of the priority with which resources must be divided amongst a given.
Wrong answer. No, a debt that is owed does not go away just because you happen to make so listen. You still owe Oprah reparations. Most people ain't got Oprah kind of money, but yes, you owe rich Negroes reparations. This is stupid. It's a priority. No, it's not. Because you're not even fixing poor white people. So stop talking to me like you're out here doing all these poverty programs and us Negroes are just complaining. No, reparations is a debt that is owed, and you're not doing shit to fix poor people right now. Not you directly, because you play games on fucking YouTube. So I'm not talking about you, sir, but I'm talking about in general. Yeah, you know, I love talking about. Yeah, it's so funny for my ass to be sitting here talking shit on YouTube, enjoying so much talking about people talking shit on YouTube. But again, I'm a motherfucker just talking shit on YouTube. Like, come on. Okay.
Yeah, he's wilding.
Wilding. Okay. Anything else, y'all, before I go back to playing this BS?
Entity. So if we entertain the idea of, let's say, a government, not necessarily a perfect parallel with this, but let's entertain the idea of a government that promised $5,000 to each individual that belonged to a group, but that group was a bunch of multimillionaires, and there are people that are starving. I would say fuck it. Listen, there's better ways to allocate those resources. It's unfortunate that might be the case, but there are better ways to allocate those resources, and that's what I would say. If we had non-finite resources, absolutely, give everybody whatever the hell they wanted.
Stop.
And if I had $1 million, I wouldn't be a poor ass Negro. Go ahead.
Yo, nothing about this scenario is equivalent to what the fuck is going on with us. We aren't all fucking millionaires, and we're talking about way more than $5,000. And our government is we have the richest. We're in the richest country of the fucking world. Like, it's not like everything's gonna fall apart if you pay reparations. But obviously, he doesn't understand that shit.
You got anything fresh, John?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't understand this shit. I'm like, I mean, what country does he live in? Does he live in America or Sweden? Like, real shit, he have like this is a homogenous country that didn't have no history of slavery and Jim Crow. They keep trying to act like they arguments to this shit to make their left wing arguments strong. It's like, what if slavery never happened? Motherfucker, it did happen. If you talking about Jim Crow and that's what your grandmama went through, then it happened. It happened, and they owe us something. They owe us a debt. They owe us something that they took from us. They owe us some type of way, some type of way to repair this shit. We all not millionaires. Our millionaires are fucking high paid employees. Like, you feel me? Due to slavery. Like, even Oprah get a check. Somebody sign an Oprah check. It's somebody on top of Oprah signing her check. Like, she can't even play in the big leagues. Like that. By now, I might be one of the few ones, but he's still struggling. You know what I mean? He's still, you know what I mean? Even at the top of society. So he's acting like, nigga, dude, this is not Denmark or Sweden, bro. You live in America. You live in America, and it happened. They owe our people a debt. They owe something to our people because they took so much from us. Like, the fuck, right. Like, what is it? And Destiny just let us. Destiny just like, yeah, I like that. I like the guy with the glasses. God damn, he's making good points. Jesus Christ, I love him. I'm gonna play motherfucking one of them cube games he played. This shit crazy.
Who was the white dude that you guys sent me the other time? The one that actually had a decent argument. Was it this fool or was it somebody else?
It was him.
Damn, yeah. He had better arguments than these Negroes.
Why should we be forced to pay black people money because of our white people's past? I thought you cared about people changed. I can't tell what's wrong with you. It's not about revenge, and it's not about like people change. It's just about like, oh, like this is a contract that was promised, and it hasn't been paid out. Like, this was promised by the United States government. Like, we have the money to pay it. We should probably make good on that promise. Like, it's pretty simple. If you're a poor white man, in what ways have you benefited from your ancestors owning slaves? It's so boring. I'm so sad that so many of you have such a hard time understanding aggregates. Like, I understand now, I guess, why the stats argument is so hard, but like Seal34_, I guess you'd be an example of a white person that clearly didn't benefit from the fucking education and wealth available to the United States because you're just as stupid as like any random fuck from 200 years ago. Like, how fucking stupid are you? Like, when we talk about when you're talking about benefits of a class, it doesn't mean every single person benefits, right? Like, you're unironically coming at me with the like, well, Destiny, how do you explain the fact that there are some rich black people and poor white people? Like, how fucking stupid are you? Like, do you have a benefit when you go to the gym and you're young as a man? People that are fucking 18 years old have massively higher testosterone than somebody that's 35 or 40, right? Like, your ability to build muscle and burn fat as a young man is massive. Now, I could make that statement, and the equivalent of what you just did is you coming at me and going, really? Hold on. What about all these fucking nerdy kids that are 18 that don't work out? And I know some power lifters that are still in their 30s and 40s. Totally proved you wrong there, Destiny. Like, what the fuck kind of stupid fucking argument are you making? Like, you can talk about things in an aggregate. That doesn't mean that it's going to apply every single time. It's crazy how identitarian and racialized conservatives become when you fucking talk about anything. I don't give a fuck. We're not talking right now about black people, okay? We don't give a fuck about black people, and I'm not talking about white people. I don't give a fuck about white people. I'm talking about people that used to be enslaved as a matter of policy in the United States. There are black people here today that wouldn't get reparations. People that immigrated here from some place who are black from like the 1900s aren't part of this conversation. We're talking about people that used to be slaves in the United States. That's who we're talking about. It's not about being black or white.
I guess he went and did some research. He was like, well, listening to y'all, this ain't it. So I guess he went and did some research. I'm assuming this was before that, because, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Yeah, because he was doing much better than they're doing. All right, I'm gonna play.
And that's just not the reality we live in.
So two points there. So one, are we doing? So are we now entertaining deficit concerns over?
Oh, we are.
Okay.
Entertaining.
So,
No, we are not. There's such thing as MMT. Read Stephanie Kelton's book, The Deficit Myth. Deficits are bullshit. We have enough money, or so-called fiat, whatever you want, to do anything that we want to do. All we have to do is adjust for inflation and give a bunch of poor people money. They're going to spend it into the economy, and it's going to help the economy grow. So, yes, that's not your lane. That's it. What else? What y'all got? I know I could have played it longer, but I hate when people start talking about deficits. That's some bullshit. Because y'all don't care about, listen, I want people to start telling the government that they're not paying for any more of these wars. When y'all stop paying taxes, because I talk about all the time, I hear all the time people like, I hate that we're in so many wars, but you don't stop paying taxes for that shit. So how about this? Let the government do reparations, and all you white people who are against it, stop paying taxes. Yeah, because if you don't believe in it, don't pay your taxes no more. That's it.
Right.
That's it. You ain't got to, right? And you can, deal with let that fall how it falls, right?
Exactly.
All right, y'all got anything else?
No, I mean, it's the same shit. I don't think these motherfuckers understand any of the numbers behind any of this shit. Like, they don't understand how much wealth is in America, how much wealth white people got, versus how much we got. Like, yeah, I mean, we got 100. I mean, there's 100. What is it? 110 trillion dollars in the country. White America has 90% of it, while we have 2.6% of it. Even if we weren't going to do like MMT, like, there's ways to figure out how to fucking pay this fucking, this debt. I'm just saying. So it's some goofy shit all the way around.
Pretty much. Like, if we really want to, we can just rob the rich. Like, if y'all really feel some kind of way about letting them do it the easy way, we can just rob the rich. It's really not that complicated. They really don't need that much money.
And shit, you can even entice the rich, because Citibank put out
strong on their asses.
That's
not what beans would do. Sorry.
You watch too much Beanie Siegel movies. Like, I watch too much
Boondocks. No, I be watching Boondocks. I be watching Boondocks.
Well, what you got?
I'm sorry.
Citibank, they put out that report about the 16 trillion, how much was lost in like growth of the economy in the last 10 years because of
racism,
racial inequality. So if we had money, the fucking market would have grown by 16 trillion. Like, you can entice the capitalists with that bullshit. Like, I mean, it works all the way around. It's just a good fucking policy.
Know why people act like we ain't gonna spend that reparations. Like, there's gonna be a few Negroes that are gonna be able to like literally stash that into investments. Like, I've met a couple in my lifetime, but most Negroes gonna spend that money. 80 grand. Most people, what they say, like what most black people make, like what, under 40 grand. So like that would put them at like 120K a year somewhere. Like that's like that would just give them comfortable lives. I don't know. I've made that before. Depending on what city you live in, that's not a lot of money. Like it is, but it's not. So it'll be like a nice, comfortable, super middle class life, depending on where they decide to move. If you move down south, you balling. But if you stay like in a major city, that's still like regular life.
If you do reparations, you know what's going to happen. The housing market in the South will thrive for decades.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because we building up the South. Like you right about that one.
But Sam, they can't give it. Hey, Sam, they can't give it to us because white people are not gonna like it. They're not gonna like it. They ain't gonna like it. And then basically what they saying is like, y'all niggas are gonna go buy some drugs and big chains with it, and then that's
do
it.
white people stuff
like it ain't
because you know they
like it
be
ain't
flipping
32
money.
million of us. Like you feel like it ain't 36 million
yeah.
of us. Like 100,000 going wild. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe 2 million going wild.
But
That's
are
the
we pretending like new? Are we pretending like new white money don't waste money though? Like new white money wastes money too. Like, come on. Like, let's talk about lottery winners, right? Like, we know this, but it is what it is. Like, you don't stop some 20-year-old from getting the $2 million that they white auntie that they never knew left them in a trust because they was the next descendant. You know, you don't jump out and be like, no, you can't have that 2 million. You're gonna blow that. No. What you need is this college, and we gonna fix up your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we gonna take that 2 million and we gonna fix up the high school, elementary school, and the middle school where you live. And again, oh, you ain't got no kids? Well, you may want some one day.
Mm-hmm. Word up, man. Like that shit. That's why they treat reparations like everybody gonna just hit the lottery. But imagine that. Imagine if these motherfuckers is talking about like imagine if all black people did hit the lottery. Yeah, I mean, they act like it's just a one-time thing. We hit the lottery, we go on vacations, buy ice. Like they don't understand the dynamics of our community at all. And that shit is
That's
racist.
what I would want.
It's
Let me
racist,
tell
son.
you, I want jewelry.
Them liberals is racist for that shit. That thing. It's racist.
Yep.
Anti-black like a motherfucker.
But in that's just not the reality we live in.
So two points there. So one, are we doing? So are we now entertaining deficit concerns over?
Oh, we are.
Okay. So like, here's the problem here again, though. If we're gonna entertain deficit concerns over how much money we need to allocate and spend for something that was this bad and wronged, something that's inhumane, dehumanizing, etc. People died. People were lynched.
Yep.
By the shitload here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a concern over a deficit, over the money spent, is trivial because the deficit is only a concern of an economy that was made possible by the direct exploitation of their existence, time, and labor.
I agree.
Like,
okay, so
take away slaves from the equation and pay everyone a
agree.
fair living wage, as you, the business owner, is going to be compensated as well here on equal treatment in terms. And suddenly, your I don't know, your GDP, your deficit, it's all irrelevant now. It's gonna be a whole different model and tracking entirely over multi-centuries of this whole thing being implemented. So I don't know where you can give me that like money is more important than people when people were intrinsic to what the money is worth now.
Okay, so then would you? I mean, I feel like you already knew it's coming. Would you make that argument for us giving back all of the money that we have as an entire government to the Native Americans, who literally the only reason why this entire government is possible is on their land?
No, Sam, stop it. No. Oh,
John, you're up.
Oh my Jesus, yo, this is too much. Hey, yo, why did y'all play this video, man? Like this is these niggas is wild. They wilding. First of all, I'm not gonna lie. Do It the Afro really made like the best point, like yo, real shit. Basically, he just made the argument that many of the activists in the reparations ADOS community been saying for years and years, and you know what I mean, for like at least past 2-3 years. Like the argument that this motherfucking whole system is built off of our pain and oppression. Like this is the reason why money has value in America. You feel me? Like we feel like we the thing that set this thing off. Like, so why don't you think that giving us money is the wrong thing to do? And then immediately, all right. And then he always says, I agree with everything you said. But But Native Americans be living on their land. Like, nigga, we didn't even ask to be here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Greenwich people brought us here. We was here. The Native Americans was like fighting the people that came to their land. And we were just with them. We ain't asked to be here. And then they seen us as a bargaining tool, as a motherfucking way to, you know what I mean? Like, we always been at the bottom since we got here. Like, the fuck, like, you feel me? Always been tools of this whole shit since we got here. Like, this shit is wild, man. It makes no sense. I don't know.
And I want to follow up on John, because I want Mud to take that one home, since Native Americans is his forte. But
Mud, you Native American, Mud?
but again, I'm gonna keep saying this. I'm gonna keep saying this, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. Native Americans fought a war and lost. Y'all signed treaties for certain land areas, which the U.S. government is fucking you on, and you should get back. Yes. The shit you signed treaties for, but the whole country know you fought a war and you lost. And then you signed some treaties. Sorry. So your government made a deal with the U.S. government. That's between y'all. Our situation is a whole different conversation.
Right.
That's it. Go ahead, Mud.
All right. So
I know you got something for that ass.
Yeah, to John's question, I'm Black and I'm from South Carolina, so there's words about us being Cherokee in the family, but I'm Ados. That's what I am.
Okay.
But with this shit, I keep saying it. The Indian Claims Commission of 1946. There was already a deal made for reparations with some of the tribes. Some of them took it. Some of them didn't want the money. They wanted their land and they wanted the treaties to be honored. Okay. Now, let's get to the other point. As far as we have to give all the money back to the Native Americans because this is their land. Like, this is going to sound fucked up, but it's the reality. If you go somewhere and it's fertile land, but it's just undeveloped, like no one has worked the land, like you can't just assume that it's going to have the same value as America has now in present day, based on centuries of slave labor. So we worked the land to build
some slaves they
wealth.
owned.
So it's like, if we're saying we got to give up all the money of America, I think we need to do a 50-50 split then with the natives.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Natives get half, blacks get half. And the rest of y'all motherfuckers can pay rent.
Right. That's
fair. That's what I got to say about that.
Hey, Mud, you ain't got no more? Nah, bro, you ain't got no more about that or nah?
I think it's perfect.
Nah, I think, Sam hit some good points. You hit some good points. I think I hit my main,
because if we just out here wilding, like, oh, we should, okay, if that's the case, then let's give California and Texas and all that shit back to Mexico too, since we just giving back shit to people who lost.
I'm saying.
Hey, and while we're at it, let's just give back the motherfucking U.S. to Britain. Let's rock, right? Like,
I'm saying, as long as you cut my check, you
happily live under the Queen of England.
I'm saying, I'll put on one of them wigs like the niggas in the
island. I am here for all of it. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Right.
They used to wear some gigantic wigs too. They put Beyonce to shame. Like, no, I'm serious. These wigs are huge.
You petty.
No, I'm not petty. Beyonce is gorgeous. She has the best wigs, but you know how sometimes she be having those big Mufasa wigs?
Yeah.
These are no jokes. I love her hair. This is all love. These are no jokes. Like, but you know what I'm talking about. We have that big lioness hair. That's shit. They had like it would take 16 heads of hair to make like one of those royal wigs. Man, just sitting around scalping like 16 people. It's crazy. Okay.
Listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them grilling them. Back on the grill again, we grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Lineage, Jim Crow and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win, you need our energy. Go on, see. Listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.